Tel Aviv's flags were flying high on that September day, while smoke rose from the towers, they were dancing in the fray. A housewife in New Jersey saw them laughing and rejoice, said they had box cutters and they celebrated with their voice. They got rounded up and sent back home. The FBI gave them a pass, but the seed was sown, the lie was grown in the shadow and the gas. We bought the war a second time for a lie we'd heard before, for Netanyahu's WMDs on that Iraqi shore. 4,500 soldiers in the sand, they made their bed, while the neocons in Washington, they cashed the checks and spread the dread. Yeah, we're fighting Israel's war again, the contractor's death. Cheney and the president, they swore the intel was a lie. Saddam's got nukes, are clearing present danger to our flock. But the UN said it's garbage, and the Germans gave a warning sign. The curveball was a drunkard, and they cherry-picked the line. The Downey Street memo said the facts were being fixed around the policy, and we sent our kids to Baghdad for a corporate fantasy. Of every fight, a policy so old, but this time it's our nation's soul they've bartered and they've sold. Our pack walks the hallways and they never wait in line. They bought the pen that signs the check that spends your life and mine. We got no business on that soil, no duty to that creed. Why are we the ones to die for foreign leaders' greed? We bought the war a second time for a lie we'd heard before, for Netanyahu's WMDs on that Iraqi shore. 4,500 soldiers in the sand, they made their bed, while the neocons in Washington, they cashed the checks and spread the dread. Yeah, we're fighting Israel's war again, the contractor's dead. The bombs are falling on Iran, the latest front they chose, with Saudis pushing from the flank and us facing all the blows. The general told the president our magazines are running low, but the bombs keep falling anyway. For a deal we'll never know.
strike was an attack. So surely these men are locked behind bars to this day, right? Surely they were transferred to Guantanamo and held without trial for 15 years as part of the war on terror, weren't they? No. They were immediately transferred to federal custody, held for 71 days, and then deported back to Israel. The owner of the urban moving systems company that had employed them, Dominic Suter, was investigated by the FBI too. They concluded that urban moving may have been providing cover for an Israeli intelligence operation, and even seized records and computer systems from the company's offices. When they went back to question him again on September 14th, he had fled back to Israel. And what about the dancing Israelis' pictures themselves? The Justice Department destroyed their copies on January 27, 2014. And these intelligence agents on an intelligence mission who were there to document the event of 9/11 before anyone knew 9/11 was taking place? Don't worry, they were just spying on Arab terrorists.
And while the FBI or certain sources might believe that in fact they were Israeli intelligence, they don't believe that the U.S. was a target, that they were actually investigating Muslim groups?
They believe if this was an intelligence operation by Israel, that it was focused on the Islamic groups and charities that raise money for groups that are considered by U.S. law enforcement and others terrorist groups. And you'll note that after September 11th, the U.S. moved on many of these groups with indictments, arrests, raids on their headquarters, something that hadn't happened prior to this.
These are groups that Israel believes have been funding Hamas and other terrorist organizations?
Groups that are responsible for most of the suicide bombings there.
But this story is not merely preposterous on its face. Even the implications of this story are themselves preposterous. If indeed the official story is a ridiculous lie, then are we to believe that these crack Israeli Mossad operatives, who were presumably aware of the attack that was about to take place, had been sent to photograph the burning tower from a parking lot across the Hudson River? And that these specially trained intelligence professionals on their super-secret mission were celebrating, high-fiving, and going out of their way to be noticed in performance of their task? This is equally preposterous. The only other possible conclusion is that these men were serving merely as a distraction, that they were not there to photograph for Israeli intelligence one of the most heavily photographed scenes in the world on that morning, but instead to be noticed and arrested as a way to divert attention from a much bigger and more sinister story. So if they were meant to distract from a bigger story, what story could that possibly be?
It has been more than 16 years since a civilian working for the Navy was charged with passing secrets to Israel. Jonathan Pollard pled guilty to conspiracy to commit espionage and is serving a life sentence. At first, Israeli leaders claimed Pollard was part of a rogue operation, but later took responsibility for his work. Now, Fox News has learned some U.S. investigators believe that there are Israelis again very much engaged in spying in and on the U.S., who may have known things they didn't tell us before September 11th. Fox News correspondent Carl Cameron has details in the first of a four-part series.
Since September 11th, more than 60 Israelis have been arrested or detained, either under the new Patriot anti-terrorism law or for immigration violations. A handful of active Israelis